Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the International 4 China Qualifiers presented by Monster. I'm LD. I'm joined here by Gods, Fear, and of course AC. Guys, thanks for staying up late.
It's our
pleasure, the midnight
man.
oil. We've got potentially one more game coming up. It's going to be DT versus LGD.CDEC. DT, on paper, the heavy favorites. Should they win this game, they've already beaten Hyper Glory Team. They will go through as the fourth place team. We don't need two teams. We only need one. So if DT win this, tie breaks end. Should they lose, we then go to LGD.CDEC versus HDT, and potentially we have a three-way tie. If it's a three-way tie, at that point, it's time rating. So if you're in danger of losing and you're DT, you want to drag the game out as long as possible, basically improve your time rating.
Yeah, their first game they won in a I'd say average-ish time. It was something like 40-ish minutes. I didn't see the exact time, but they won it relatively okay.
So if they win this game, or if they lose this game, but it's like a longer game, it's like 50-plus minutes, very likely they advance.
The problem is only one of the three teams advances,
That's
so
true.
The team with the best time rating. But
Well, we'll see if it comes to time rating. I guess going into this match, Fear, on paper, DT should be the favorites.
Yeah, definitely for me. I feel DT is the stronger team here. I've seen a handful of CDEC games. They looked a little sloppy in my opinion. A little sloppy, so I'm going to give DT the edge here.
They actually DT actually beat LGD.CDEC, or sorry, LGD.CDEC actually upset DT earlier today.
Yep,
So
we saw that.
They're capable of upsetting them, but whether or not they can do it here in a big moment in the clutch is another question.
CDEC is one giant enigma. If you've watched them over the last 48 hours, you've seen them look brilliant, and you've seen them outdraft and outlane a number of excellent teams. But whenever it comes to consistency, they haven't been there whatsoever. And that's kind of why, coming into the tiebreakers, it's such a huge question mark. We don't know what team we're going to see show up right now.
They're a young team. They're fairly inexperienced as well. They have a lot of pub stars in some ways. But with that being said, are we ready for the draft? Or
it looks like
we are ready for the draft. All right, we're into the draft. So with that being said, AC Fear, potentially our final match of the group stage for the International 4 Chinese Qualifiers presented by Monster. Take it away.
All right, moving in. This is Dreamtime versus LGD.CDEC. The North American Hub coverage presented by Monster Energy. And yeah, man, like when it comes to Dreamtime came into the entire tournament, the entire qualifier as a team that everyone expected to see perform top two, and suddenly they find themselves in tiebreakers. That's kind of a big deal in and of itself. LGD.CDEC, if you saw them on day one, they looked very, very raw. They did not look like a team who had put it all together whatsoever.
We casted a few games there. They did not look good whatsoever. And Dreamtime, I casted their last game as well against LGD. They had a good start, but they weren't able to push their advantage at all, and they kind of just fell apart, and they were just playing catch-up Dota the whole time. But I want to talk about the draft real quick. I think we have the top 4 picks in the first phase. 3 of them we see picked over and over again. Mirana is kind of up there, but it's run mainly as a support in China, which baffles me a lot. But we have Centaur. Rubik is in the first 2 surprisingly a lot, and Dream Protector too. And Dream Protector, to be honest with you, hasn't had that much of an impact in the games that I have seen.
Right.
And we've got a Morphling pickup as well.
Well, so far as the Mirana, I got to admit, it's kind of funny. Whenever an analyst, someone who's on the other side of the table, takes notes and they're ready to come back on, you had written down some notes about Mirana, and you had jotted down, support Mirana, ? Worthless. Exclamation point. So obviously you think Mirana should be run as a core. Why do you think that is?
Well, I feel like you have to get so much done with Mirana. If you run her in the support position, you have to hit the arrows.
Right.
You have to have like amazing setup. LGD, the main squad, not CDEC, has ran it a few times. They were not successful the last time they did run it. Actually, their only one loss they did have, I believe, was with that support Mirana.
Right.
And the games they were successful, they ran the aggressive tri-lane with the Wraith King Mirana combination. They were able to get really aggressive really early. So that's something I'd like to see if they are going to run the Mirana. Other than that, it's like it's kind of luck based. Like if you hit the arrows, it's good, but the arrows aren't a guarantee thing. If you shoot it into the mid lane or any other lane, and if you don't get it, you end up like the Mirana and LGD game, where you end up with like a 30-minute, 45-minute force stack, and it's just not that impactful.
Well, and honestly, that's kind of how it feels with the Tree and Protector too. Either you give your team a lot, or you give them absolutely nothing. And not just you and I, but folks in the house have been having conversations across all of the qualifiers in terms of what makes a good tree. Tree is excellent at roaming. He can dominate you in lane, but he has to make sure that he gets his team ahead. Like, he's one of those heroes that when you pick him, you're investing into the early laning phase. If that doesn't go your way, you can wind up in trouble. And it sounds like Mirana and Tree and Protector kind of have that in common for the most part. You're talking about two heroes that, yes, they can give you a lot, but most of it isn't just something you can rely on. It's so much of it comes down to individual skill and overall team approach.
Right, and good movement as well. Like being in the right place at the right time and choosing where to lane.
Dazzle.
We're going to have Dazzle as well, which I like that a lot. That's going to put Mirana in a core position, and I think that's kind of her calling as a hero, to be honest with you.
Honestly, I like Mirana a lot whenever she's put in a position where if she farms and she has a good laning phase, it's good, but you don't have to have it. You know what I mean? Like, you pick a very strong mid, be it a core mid, be it a ganking mid or whatever else, and you pick an off lane that is going to be able to do something by himself. And then if the Mirana needs to buy a catch-up Midas or needs to get a Midas or something like that, that's fine as well. But Tree, Dazzle, and Mirana, that kind of gives you everything you want. It gives you good team fight, it gives you good initiation, it gives you good roam. Now it's just a matter of what CDEC can pile on top of that. We haven't talked a lot about Dreamtime, though, as they decide to pick up the Visage to go with the Morphling.
It also gives you as well for LG Slimes a strong, aggressive tri-lane if they want to punish that Morphling, which I think they're probably going to do. They should, and then they're going to have to Invoker running this safe lane. The mid lane. I'd really like to see CDEC pick up a strong safe laner to abuse that Centaur. Maybe in a lifesteal or something that wouldn't be too terrible, but just some type of hero that can just abuse Centaur 1 versus 1.
Right.
Either a ranged hero or that lifestealer. I'm not a big fan of the lifestealer, but it is a hero that can go very well against Centaur 1v1. And yeah, and going into Dreamtime, they do pick up the Visage, so their tri-lane is pretty much set, and they just need a mid right now. They do have the Visage Rubik Morphling lane. Not too bad. Once they get level 2 and 3, that's a ton of burst damage, which they can kill someone. But that's not a lot of lockdown other than telekinesis, so Grave could counteract that really well.
No, I agree with you. That's why I'm thinking Nyx Assassin here. Nyx has not been picked or banned, being in terms of picking an off-lane hero that can give you a little bit of burst and a little bit of control in terms of stun and everything else. A Nyx Assassin would, like, whenever you're looking at LGD.CDEC, you said, like, they're actually going to ban the TA when they have the Axe banned out away from them. What do you think about a Nyx Assassin to fit into this lineup?
I would like to see... And Nyx could be ran as a strong offlaner here.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
I think LGD's best approach here is to run the aggressive tri-lane and pick a hero that can bully Centaur 1v1, because Centaur for Dreamtime is obviously going to be going that offlane position. And I feel like Dazzle, Tree, and Mirana can really shut down that Morphling.
Right.
So I'd like to see, and that goes back to Treant as a hero. Like, if he doesn't get a lot done early, he kind of falls off. So I almost always prefer Treant in like an aggressive tri-lane position.
Well, we're going to wait and see. Once again, if you're just tuning in, this is LGD.CDEC versus Dreamtime. If Dreamtime wins, the tiebreakers end. If CDEC wins, we end up going even deeper on into the field, and the Chinese qualifiers have proven to be one of the most competitive we've had so far.
Yeah, they definitely have been. A lot of long games, a lot of close games.
Oh, long games for sure.
There has been some stomps as well, but each region has had their like stompy moments, and it's going to be a Razor, so looks like Razor's going to be their mid pickup. I don't exactly see the reason behind this.
Yep.
I mean, Razor is
pretty clearly a mid invoker.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if Razor does that much against Invoker. He's a ranged hero, so he's going to be able to get his farm regardless, and there's not really a hero right now that they have where you put Static Link on like against a Lifestealer in a team fight, and just makes him worthless. So kind of a random Razor pick.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that as well. Usually whenever you see a Razor picked up like this, it's in response to a Lifestealer or even a Lone Druid. Something like that.
They picked a Lone Druid into it.
Okay, that is... Dude, I got nothing for you. They picked the Razor first. Like, usually when you see a Razor, it's because, well, I don't know. Maybe they were just anticipating the Lone Druid. Or are they that far ahead?
How can you actually anticipate that?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah, like, the only two heroes that genuinely, when you look at them, you say, okay, Razor makes a ton of sense. There are a couple. There's OD, which is not a part of this game, neither pick nor ban, by the way. There is the Lifestealer, as you said, and the Lone Druid. Those are really the big three that when you see a Razor pick come out, it's usually because that pick has been shown. And LGD.CDEC just picked a Lone Druid into Dreamtime. Can you explain that to me, or am I just out of my mind?
I think Lone Druid, they definitely want that for that 1v1 abuse against Centaur, so that makes sense. And maybe they're just so committed to that, they're like, okay, it's a Razor. Maybe the Lone Druid's going to have really good micro, buy the phase boots on the bear. And it looks like Dota is going to crash, but we're going to talk a little bit about the Razor.
We'll be in just a minute. Just stare at the black screen.
Yeah,
it's
and
fine.
Unfortunately for me at this point, I wasn't able to get in the game in time as well, so I don't have a screen to look at either. So we're at the mercy of Conrad here. Fire Conrad. Shots fired. But anyways.
Also, we're not LD Dota and Fear Dota. Just want to point that out on
LD
the
is not present.
on the overall production.
All right, that wasn't Conrad. You get off the hook for this one time. It's always Conrad. So never mind, Conrad. You're back on the hook here.
Are we going back on camera? Is that?
Well, we're going back on camera. Okay. But anyways, talking about the Lone Druid Razor pick, it's like I feel like they're just so committed to shutting down that Centaur. They just kind of force themselves into that pick. And
exactly.
it can work. I mean, if you are able to get the return off, if he static links without hitting the bear first, you can waste it completely, but any good Razor player is going to hit the bear first, then start the link, so you can't get it off. He's going to be forced into getting some move speed on the bear with the phase boots, but it looks like we're in the game now. But it's going to be totally up to this Lone Druid's micro and how much he can get ahead. But Razor at the same time, if they're able to shut him down to mid, and rotate with like the tree. They don't have the best rotating heroes, but tree plus Invoker should be enough to kill that Razor. If they can shut him down, it won't be a huge factor. But if this Razor gets out of control, he might just counter this Lone Druid completely.
Well, when you look at CDEC, the thing that jumps out about their lineup is they have a lot of heroes who are reliant on transitions. You have the Invoker, who needs to have a good transition, regardless of how he builds. It could be Quaswex, it could be Quas Exhort, that's fine. Mirana, kind of a semi-carry that can go hard carry, etc. Lone Druid really needs his space, really needs his items, really needs time to farm. When you look at DT, they have one extremely late-game hero in the Morphling. Then you have the Centaur, the Visage, the Razor, etc. that can make things happen early if they decide to. I feel like it's really going to be on CDEC to abuse these lanes as best as they possibly can and try to make sure that they actually are able to get something done in the sooner rather than the later.
Yeah, I do agree with you completely. They do need to get a lot done in the laning phase, but more importantly, DT has to, the laning phase right now is pretty good. The Razor against Invoker in the low levels is good, but once he gets Forge Spirits up, it's not going to be a big deal. He's going to be able to, he's going for that X-Word and build, so once he gets Forge Spirits up, the static link won't be a big deal. So he really has to dominate within the first couple waves, and he's not even winning that lane right now. No. Invoker's up to 5 CS, so I worry a little bit for this laning phase for the Razor, but Lone Druid should be doing just fine in this bottom lane. It looks like he's going to use his spare as well to pull, which is very smart.
Yep. Good micro, and in terms of the solo lanes, it honestly, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. As a professional player, what is the reasoning behind picking an Invoker or picking a Razor whenever you know an Invoker is going to be on the other side?
I mean, you can win the lane against Invoker, but I don't think the Razor pick was warranted here.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
They wanted a mech hero for sure, so Razor is going to be going that, and maybe it's just in their comfort zone. Maybe it's just something their mid player really likes playing a lot. But this top lane is going to be, it's really volatile, to be honest with you, because they can get kills on DT. I'm not going to say LGD is going to completely win this lane. I think this lane can go either way, and it looks like they're going on the Mirana, but just some harassment. But
no real follow.
It's going to be really hard to kill him. So this isn't like a straight-out lane win for CDEC whatsoever. DT can still be competitive here. So we're going to have to see how this lane pans out. It comes out to who plays better, in my opinion.
Well, the Lone Druid is certainly doing well. He's sitting at 12-0 at the moment.
Lane.
And he is just bullying around July on the Centaur Warrunner. And CDEC has to be happy about that, at the very least. And they're up against a Razor in mid, and the Invoker is already beginning to pull ahead there. And yes, the static link is a pain in the butt, as we can see Air sucking what damage he can. But that's only going to last so long. The Razor, in terms of how he's going to translate.
Arrow does connect to more
there. Caught XDD, and now they're going to respond. There's going to be a lift onto the Tree and Protector. He's going to try to pull back. He has enough health that it shouldn't be an issue. But XDD actually ends up losing a lot of health in that.
Yeah, he has no mana now either, so this Morphling can be easily bullied or killed because he does not have mana to morph into more strength at the moment. And there's a triple stack already in the camp, so they're going to keep fighting for denying creeps here.
Yep.
This lane's going to be really important on who can get the pulls off.
Arrow just barely misses, flies a little bit north. LGD, in the meantime, they're going to go ahead and leap on top. Dream U could be in some trouble. The Visage is trying to slow him down, trying to do what damage he can, but there's a Shadow Wave that gets everyone healed back up. XDD doing what damage he can. There's going to be a Grave Chill onto the Mirana as he looks once again. Arrow is up, and XDD is going to go ahead and wait for him on top of the Dazzle. Dazzle Shadow Waves himself, but we see Garter draws first blood as the Morphling ends up feeding himself. And yeah, I don't think that's what you really need and really want out of this tri-lane situation.
Yeah, looks like he's going to call it the hoof stomp, but the root's going to be
Yes.
if he can get another one, probably not, but
No.
now the lone druid is level 5, which means Centaur, he has no chance in this lane
No.
whatsoever. And mid lane, Razor's doing a little better. Maybe they picked Razor because air. I feel like I should have paid more attention to the draft, what the Night Stalker's ban or the Panda. But it seems like he loves playing Panda, he loves playing Night Stalker. Maybe they're both banned and he ended up going into the Razor and that was his third hero. Maybe they're forced in that type of pick. That would have made a lot of sense. He doesn't seem like he's the most versatile player from what I've seen.
No.
A lot of Night Stalker, a lot of Panda. Haven't seen much else, to be honest with you. But yeah, that tri-lane, it's like, I did give the edge a little bit to CDEC in the laning phase, but with that Morphling First Blood, that's going to help out a ton.
Well, the Lone Druid very happy about the way things are going here in the early laning phase. He's got 22 CS on top of the 18 of the Centaur. So that one-on-one, even though it's going well enough for the Centaur, it's not going as well as he would like. And in mid, we can actually see the Invoker is sitting at 14. So the Razor is actually being a decent answer to this for the moment. So what approach do you think that Razor should take? I mean, in terms of his impact on the game, it needs to be sooner rather than later. How do you think he should build out, and what approach do you think he and his team are going to take once this laning phase begins to break down?
I think at this level, and especially for Chinese teams in general, Razor always builds into that mech. He's going to get that early mech up, and they're going to go for some early towers. The only thing I fear is, like, they don't have the best heroes for pushing towers.
Right.
So, if they do, but at the same time, they are playing against a Lone Druid. That's a hero that doesn't defend towers well at all. So, if they get that early mech, that could be enough to take some early towers.
Well, we've got a quick pause. Thanks for joining us here on the North American Hub coverage of the International 4 Chinese Qualifiers, presented by Monster Energy. I'm your host here in AC Chambers, joined by Fear, and hopefully we'll be back underway sooner rather than later. But for the moment, and this has kind of plagued the entire qualifiers. We've seen a ton of connection issues.
Yeah, I mean, they're all on land, too. They're playing from a hotel.
That's kind of a ridiculous thing.
So, maybe... luckily for the Chinese qualifiers in particular, it hasn't been too bad. There's just been small pauses. I've never seen a pause that's been over, 15 minutes. Even, I haven't actually seen a pause that's been over 5 minutes, to be honest with you. So they fixed their issue, whatever it is, pretty quickly. Unlike when we did the Southeast Asia, we had some massive delays.
Oh, yeah.
So China hasn't been too bad, but the games have been very long to make up for that.
So very early on, just 5 minutes into the entire game. But laning phase so far, based on what you see, who do you think is actually coming out ahead, and who do you think needs to break down the status quo first?
CDEC is definitely coming out ahead right now, and who needs to break down the laning phase first? I feel like it has to be DT, but neither team has to break it down.
Right.
Morphling just needs to catch up and farm. I think that's what's really important. He needs to get up on his CS.
He's sitting at 7 CS right now.
Really
It's
We've
brutal.
seen this over and over again.
Yeah.
Just go aggressive against Morphling, and he's been struggling time and time again. It's I saw one game where Morphling did come back from it. I don't think it was necessarily the Morphling who came back from it. It was more like his team.
Right.
But the other games that I did see where Morph had a struggle, he did not come back very well, and they ended up losing the game. So Morphling's not really a great comeback hero. That's why you see these aggressive tri-lanes. So I think the laning phase is definitely favoring CDEC at this point.
Yep. The laning phase back underway. As you can see, the pause is off, but taking a look at Mirana, she's sitting at 12 CS on top of the 7 of Morphling, so like you said, it's going pretty well. And, reviews are kind of mixed for a core Mirana. Do you feel like a Mirana should, in this kind of situation, go straight up Midas and just secure her place in the late mid-game and on into the late game? Or do you feel like she should just go, utility items? Or should she even just go pure carry, in terms of pure carry items, and just say, she's not going to have any real chance to outfarm the Morphling, but she can try to stay on par? What's the right answer in that situation?
I think it depends on lineups, and seeing that they have a Lone Druid already, and they already have the Invoker, there's going to be 2 Midas carriers for the most part.
Right.
I think she should just go for that phase drums, Aquila, into Maelstrom, just apply pressure as much as she possibly can to this Morphing, and stay top lane as long as you can. I don't think Midas is the correct choice this game.
Well, we'll see how it's going to end up panning out. I actually agree with you pretty well. But for the moment, CDEC, the only kill on the board, belongs to them. And they are applying good pressure. We saw XDD feed himself earlier on. And Super, along with the Rubik. Actually, Super going to be caught out. And now the Sunstrike is just misses, actually. Shot it north. A little bit of lag there, so we didn't get to see all of it. But Super will be tracked down just in the shadow of his own Tier 1. XDD is very low as well. But it looks like CDEC very happy to just take what they can get when they can get it as they pull back. And unfortunately, we only have one observer cam right now because Fear, they started the game completely without warning.
Really early.
Look at that. Look how bad that lag is. It just showed up.
Yeah,
So-
they blew the Stampede for that too. So
Yep.
Visage, it didn't show visually, but it's going to be another game. Oh man, we're having some major connection issues. But
Yep.
yeah, they blew the Stampede there and still lost the Visage. So that brings us to 2-0.
Now we're going to have a dive up atop. They're going to try to go on the Rubik and the Morphling. Rubik in trouble, down to a very low health, but with the Razor showing up, Nice Grave going to keep Dazzle alive. They're going to chase down Garter. Garter doing what he can, but just not enough as he is finally killed off by the Razor, though I have no idea how, if I'm totally honest.
Spells are just being there's
Yeah,
a status.
this is-
What is even going on?
We're going to have to
This
go to
isn't
Dota
Dota
TV.
anymore.
We have to go to Dota TV. Like, there's no way to cast from this at all.
Yeah, we're playing Heroes and Newer now.
Yep. We're working on a solution at the moment, folks, but yeah, unfortunately, no one has a... We're going to have a quick reconnection to the game, so thanks for your patience, guys. It's very early on, and I know it's certainly not pleasant, but we'll be bringing you more of this game as soon as we possibly can. The connection to Perfect World is anything but, if we're honest.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you go from like West Coast to China as well, there may be
It's
some
a
connection
bit
issues.
of distance.
Yeah, it's a
Just a
bit of
bit.
distance. So this is like the only region where we're going to have some connection problems. To be honest with you,
Oh, yeah.
we have Europe coming up next, and there should be absolutely no connection problems there.
Yep.
So hang in with us, guys.
We'll be bringing you the action as soon as we possibly can. We're waiting to reconnect, so thank you very much for that. In fact, we're just going to go ahead and take a brief break as we attempt to reconnect to the game now. I'm AC, that's Fear. We've got this game and our tiebreakers coming up. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Alrighty, guys. As soon as I can get a view for the game, I'll be happy to bring you back. But, again, connection issues are a bit of a pain. It's going to be CDEC versus DT as we rejoin. We can see it's 4 versus 2. CDEC doubling up DT at this point as we work on our connection issues. But very important match as a win here could actually bring a direct end to the overall. Hang on, Rubik's actually going to be tracked down. Didn't see if that was the... I didn't see. Yep, looks like maybe got that. He got it with the...
Sunstrike?
Yep, Sunstrike. That's what we're looking for. Got up with the Sunstrike on top of everyone else. Now XDE could be in trouble at top, but he is going to go ahead and wait for him. Back to safety up under his own tower. So at the moment, CDEC is applying that adequate pressure. We knew they needed more than anything in the world. Just hold the Morphling down, punish the Razor pick, which was kind of bizarre by any standard,
Yeah.
and buy time for the Lone Druid. The Lone Druid, in the meantime, has been doing a fairly solid job, and we'll take a look at his inventory as soon as we can. In the meantime, the Invoker has actually picked up a Midas as well, and I would think that the Lone Druid would look for it as well. Yeah, he's got up his claws of attack, so we'll have Phase Boots plus a Midas coming out before long at all, and I would imagine he's actually going to delay that for the moment. But up atop, we're going to see XDD try to engage with In July. He's got help from Dreamy U. He's going to telekinesis, and another death on that Mirana as they do manage to finish it off, and I know that my words don't exactly match what you're seeing on the screen, but again, connecting to Perfect World servers a little
We're
bit.
not lagging here. We just hit a new stretch goal and we got new particle effects. So
Everlasting.
This isn't even
everlasting particle effects.
But yeah, and this server connection. Oh, they might be able to. Does the
Oh!
Sunstrike hit? We won't know for
Off.
3 seconds, but it looks like it missed.
July does manage to survive, at least for the moment. But at bottom, we do see that the Lone Druid is being largely left alone, and that's a mistake in of its own right. But now Triple H hooking up with him, and it looks like they wanted to push the tower, but they force a major reaction. Trouble is, whenever you force a reaction like this, and they're going to be able to pull back to safety, that's a win in and of itself, because it means
Yes.
the rest of the map isn't being pressured.
And Razor's not doing too bad. I mean, they do have the Lone Druid and the Invoker topping the boards, but
Yep.
Razor is getting close to his mech. It is a little late, and we're shooting water across the screen now.
Because that's what we do.
We have now entered C world. But
Oh,
mid
we're
lane,
trying. Midas picked up on the Lone Druid. In the meantime, looks like we might have an engagement. July manages to secure a kill on the Invoker. They will pull back. And honest to goodness, folks, we're trying. Like, it's so hard to tell what's going on whenever nothing matches. There's no animations that match. Are you not lagging?
Let's see. They're switching to me? Okay. It looks like my lag is... It's not so bad now. So it looks like we're getting on my screen now. And we're going to have that static link we're talking about.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Got it. Not used to that one.
No, I'm just trying to get the last hits up. If not the last hits,
Oh,
then
yeah.
net
I
worth
don't...
either
Well,
way.
let's see. We're going to click it the old way. We're
Yep.
going to go to net worth, right?
There
Where's the net? Oh, there it is. Y.
it is.
We're
Yep.
at net worth.
That's what I
I'm
was trying to
struggling
hit.
here, guys.
I was trying to hit that on his
Yeah.
keyboard.
And we just have different accounts. So I'm on a different account. But anyways, looks like we're going in the mid lane. Some harass will be done here. And on bottom lane, we do have the bear. He's just getting static link, and that's just going to be free damage for Razor. And
Exactly.
he's going to have Mechanism up any time now. And then up in mid lane now,
CDEC's trying to collapse, and I honestly feel like that's the right call. Like, when you look at DT, they have a lot of great heroes if they have the proper items up and they're properly leveled. They have the Centaur, he needs a blink.
we have
they
the
have the
Midas.
Visage.
Yeah, we have double Midas up too.
Exactly. So at this point, just keep pressure off of the heroes who need to have the pressure off of them. Free up space for the Invoker. Free up space for the Lone Druid. Take fights on the power of your supports. Mirana, her versatility simply can't be questioned in terms of what Dazzle can bring to any team fight. He can turn a team fight with one
Got a double
cast of a
smoke coming
spell.
out too.
And, like, if you're DT, if you're their well, we're going to hold on to that thought for a second. They're going to run right into them. They're under Moonlight Shadow. Oh, he's not level 6. If he had level 6, he could have overgrowth both of them right at the bin there. But for the moment, Razor does pick up a mech. If you're DT, you have to feel like this phase of the game is getting away from you a little bit. What adjustments are you telling your team to make?
I mean, at this point, they are against the double Midas. They just need to group up and go ahead and go for these tower kills. At this point, the mech should be up on Razor. It is up, so it looks like they're going to do just... They have the Blink Dagger, too. So they're just going to group up. There's only 3 of them, but they're splitting the map and letting more free farm on the top lane, too. While the Visage, it does have his level 6 up as well. So it looks like they're just baiting out some time and getting a little bit of experience in gold lead here.
CDEC, still with the initiative, and one would argue with a superior late game. Who do you think has better late game, CDEC or DT?
C-Deck for sure, I think.
I agree.
Their late game is going to be very strong here, and I think I might just change a couple camera settings here since it looks like I'm going to be stuck here. Lower this down so it looks a little more
I dropped
slow
that down
for
to
us.
0.
0? You
Yep.
think so? Okay,
Yeah.
let's go to 0.
There we
go
go.
all
Get it
the
on
way
down, and we're back in. There we go.
Alright,
See how
this should
smooth
look,
that is?
Looks a little more smooth for everyone.
Silky smooth. But for the moment, DT continuing to pressure towers. I'm actually surprised that DT is able to keep the pressure up on CDEC as well as they have, or as well as they are. CDEC, with their team having the double Midas, as you said, and they have playmaking supports. They actually lose the Mirana. I'm not sure where she died.
She died on top lane. The Blink Centaur. Sorry for missing that one, guys.
It happens.
Yeah, it's happened. It won't happen again. I'm
Yeah,
going
it
to be
will.
focused. No, it won't.
Yeah, it
Guarantee it. It's not going to happen again. I got confidence. Razor's just going to bully them out on this bottom lane.
I'm actually surprised they're letting Razor be as chest out as he is. For the moment, the Invoker, played by Maybe, kind of standing by himself at this tier 1 at top. And yeah, they're just going to go on him. And this is kind of why, that's exactly why it surprised me. Now there's a leap coming out from Mirana trying to bring down July, but arrow misses, XDD manages to dodge it. And the rest of DT should be able to pull back to safety. So
Looks like they're going to get out here.
Yeah.
Going to get a root down here. They do get a first hit root here, but there's going to follow up.
But it doesn't
Static
matter.
Ink will be there.
yeah.
Doesn't
Like
matter.
he's
One
sucking
against
damage
3.
for free. Look at this. He's up to, what is it? 147 damage? Yeah.
147
He's hitting
damage.
for 240 damage right now. Like, Razor is, whether or not they lane against each other or not, Razor is a phenomenal pick up against a Lone Druid for that exact reason.
And do we have a Smoke Ink coming out here? They do have 2 smokes up available still, so they could run that Smoke Ink if they want to, and they probably will do it here. They're pinging, get in the fog here. Let's get this Visage
Get
in
in
here
the trees.
too. Yeah, so they're going to go ahead and pull out the Smoke Ink now.
All right, so DT looking to take control of this. In July, the one leading the way, the Centaur with his Blink Dagger, looking for some kind of a target. They have 2 down near the tier 1 at the moment. That'll be Dazzle and the Treant Protector. And up atop, in the meantime, Mirana is finding her farm. So CDEC is, even if they die here, they're not going to give it up for nothing. In the meantime, yes, we're going to see a Grave onto Garter. They're going to try to pull him back. In the meantime, Mirana comes in to try to re-engage. Shadow Wave is there, and so is a Sunstrike. Not enough damage to bring down Air, though. At the very least, though, this is a win for CDEC if they're able to just stem the tide. If they're able to keep themselves alive with only rotating in those heroes, they should be all right.
And on bottom lane, looks like my analysis is going to be a little worse because I do have to do camera control here.
It's tough, ain't it?
It is
tough.
Definitely tough, yeah. So on bottom lane here, it looks like they're going to group up, go for this push as well. They weren't able to get the initiation. They did actually lose a bird there, and there is no resummon up. So he's only got... Did they lose both birds there? I don't see another one on the map, so it looks like they lost both birds.
Sure.
Yeah.
In
so,
the meantime, the Morphling did split push and bring down top tier
up to
1.
2,300 gold as well on top of him.
He's actually getting kind of big.
Yeah, he's going for that Lincoln Sphere build.
Well, the thing is, you say he's getting kind of big till you compare him to the Invoker and the Lone Druid. Like, CDEC is so far ahead on those two cores, it's kind of ridiculous. And the Razor, even though he is going to be able to leech damage, like, the Invoker is getting large quickly, and more importantly, that Lone Druid. Lone Druid is just one of those heroes. You cannot have him atop the overall net worth board and expect to have a decent chance in the mid game. As of right now, the two heroes they really needed to have a good start had a good start, and CDEC, they're kind of playing defense at the moment.
Yeah, but they're getting close to that Relic on Lone Druid, which is going to be really huge. Whenever you play Lone Druid, you're kind of always playing on the defensive, but it looks like we're going to have a smoking. Centaur should be leading this out if he can find this Lone Druid.
Moving through the jungle, has Air behind him, and he will go ahead and blink on top of 333. He's down to half health. In July, doing what damage he can. Even Morphling getting in on the action, and DT able to get a very high priority kill for themselves, and now they'll go ahead and vacate as the rest of CDEC was centered around the tower, but just being able to bring down the Lone Druid there, and now they're going to be able to get themselves a tier 1. DT, I have to admit, I feel like they're doing a great job of mixing it up in terms of Morphling's involvement. So often, you see teams who run Morphling just try to farm him and not bring him in, but they're bringing him into fights that they know are won for the most part.
Yeah, they definitely are, and they got that pick off from the Lone Druid. He was getting close to his Relic, so that was definitely a huge kill, and they weren't able to get a trade on the towers as well, so that's definitely an easy win for CDEC right there. I mean DT, I'm sorry, not CDEC.
DT leading the way, 7-5 at the moment. And getting the Morphling involved again, that's something that, you know, as a professional player, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. The idea that, you know, the Morphling is a hard farming carry. You want to just leave him alone, let him get his own solo experience, his own solo farm. But bringing him into these fights earlier rather than later can pay huge benefits in terms of not just XP gain, but gold gain. Do you feel like DT's really done the job there?
I mean, he's a little underfarmed right now. He has a DD right now, and he looks like he's just going to split push until he gets that Lincoln's, which I think is the right call, but Treant's going to get caught out here.
Yeah. Bad place to be if you happen to be the tree, as CDEC gives one up for free, and they've got a few in range to defend this bottom tower. Do you think they should defend or pull back?
I think they should just back out now. It looks like they used the defensive Moonlight Shadow, but they're split out what they want to do. Mirana goes back just to pick up her drums, so maybe they do actually want to fight this.
I'm a little surprised, actually. I don't feel like this is the time. I feel like if they just bide their time and just give this up as a lost cause, they'll be in good shape. They're all hanging. Arrow will connect on Rubik. And here's going to be Error. He's latching onto the Invoker with that static link, sucking a little bit of damage. Not a ton, but enough to zone them out. They do bring down the tower, and now DT is hooked up as a group and ready to roll. Moving down this bottom lane, and with their eyes on the tier 2. DT trying to seize control, and this is such a more aggressive style that we're used to seeing with a lineup that drafts a Morphling, you know, especially with this kind of lineup. What did Rubik get there? He managed to get, Cold Snap. Very nice.
Yeah, that's not a bad spell to have.
No, it's awesome, actually.
Normally, his best spell he could get is probably Sunstrike, but Cold Snap can be very good against a lot of their heroes here if they can combine, like, a lot. The familiars will proc it as well. That's a good combination to have, and Arrow's going to fly out a little short of hitting anything.
I actually think DT is playing this wonderfully.
Yes, they definitely are.
Because usually when you see a Morphling again, especially with this kind of lineup where you have kind of this wonky razor pick, and you kind of have, you know, like you've got Initiation, you've got Damage, you've got Visage and Centaur, Rubik, whatever. Usually it's just all about trying to hold on, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like hold on, don't lose towers, hold map control, let the Morphling farm. Instead, they're doing an excellent job of just keeping the pressure up, even though Morphling at this stage of the game isn't nearly as strong as he will be 20 minutes from now.
Yeah, definitely not. And the big thing for them is Lone Druid. He needs this Relic. I mean, he does have the Relic, but he needs his Radiance up. He's getting close to it. He does have 800, almost 900 gold on him on top of the Relic, so it will be up.
But Morphling has his Lincolns at the same time.
At this point, A 20-minute Radiance on Lone Druid is pretty slow considering how easy of a lane he had.
Yep. Not only one.
It's definitely a little behind schedule because of that gank in the jungle.
Yeah.
So, little unfortunate for him, and they're losing a lot of towers at this point, and that's something they can't really afford to have. Lone Druid's not a comeback hero at all.
No.
That is a hero you want to get ahead with, stay ahead with, and then pressure enemy towers with. If you're not putting that demolish to effect on the bear,
You're wasting half of the potential.
you're wasting the potential of the hero. But when he gets his Radiance up, that will be good damage going their way. But will it be enough damage? It really depends on how the team fight goes and how well of, like... At this point, I feel like Treant has to get a good ultimate off here to lock them down. And it's not easy to do when they have so many stuns on DT. And they have Rubik, too, who can steal it and just turn it on them. So it's going to be a difficult spot for them to take these team fights.
I'd like to take a look at the Mirana. I really feel like she's going to be of increased importance coming down. Yeah, like, she's gone this decent build. She's got Aquila, she's got Drum, she's got Phase.
That's
but
what we're
it's,
expecting.
yeah, I mean, it's not bad, but CDEC is going to need a lot more out of her, I think. Like you said, the Lone Druid pickup as of right now hasn't really paid for itself. We're at 20 minutes in, so he has plenty of time, but the Radiance is late in the coming. And they're kind of relying on just big plays out of the Invoker and the tree, I feel like. Like you said, the Overgrowth or the Invoker just managing to catch a good Ice Wall or whatever else. Well, you know, whatever he decides to go, he did go Quas Exhort, so has 1 point in a Wex in case he needs a Tornado or whatever else. But it does feel like they're just kind of buying time. And the problem I have with a lineup like this, especially when DT is playing as aggressive as they are, is that you buy time for your Lone Druid, then what happens if he dies twice in a row? You know, what happens if he doesn't manage to succeed in pushing down that first tower? It's like you just completely run out of steam. Do you think that's a big concern for CDEC right now?
Yeah, they definitely have to make, whenever you get this Radiance up on the bear, they have to make it count. The next fight they take, they're going to have to win it. If they lose that fight, and they lose Roshan, I think that might be a window where they could potentially even lose the game on top of that. And one thing they have going well for them right now is Invoker is extremely farmed. So I'm not sure what he's going to go next. He has 3,000 gold saved up. He could go for that Necro Book, but I feel like he may have got that if he wanted it at this point.
Right.
Most likely he's going to go for that Hex, which is going to leave another window where he has his Ultimate Orb, saving up for the rest, where they're going to be able to like take advantage of the team fights. I feel like he probably should go for that Necro Book. It's good against Morphling as well, for burning his mana. You can pop the Lincolns with the mana burn too, and that means you can get more important spells on him, like the Cold Snap, which will be very good.
Right.
But yeah, I think Necro Book is a really good choice for this Invoker, and if he can get that Necro Book up and we can get that Radiance on the bear, I think that'll be their window to actually push and maybe go for that Rosh attempt. They cannot let DT have that Aegis.
Yep. Well, it looks like we have another delay, ladies and gentlemen. Very sorry about that. If you're tuned in, you're watching the tiebreakers of the Chinese qualifier, this coverage on the North American Hub presented by Monster Energy. I'm your host, Aaron A.C. Chambers, joined by Fear. And yeah, kind of a tight game already. We're at 21 minutes in. Looks like Lone Druid did just reconnect, and we are ready to get underway. So, yeah, this is a big deal. If DT wins, it brings an end to the tiebreakers. If CDEC wins, all of a sudden, we've got a totally new scenario. And it looks like DT is in an aggressive position. Who do you feel like at this stage of the game, at 21 minutes in, has the chance to really put the screws to the other team?
Definitely DT. If you look at Razor as well, he has his Ags. He just bought it up. So this is 21 minutes. He has mech Ags and a Bracer on top of it. He's going to be flying that out to him. And this is the problem with Lone Druid against Razor in the team fights. Even though he does have the Radiance, that's the only item you can really get if you're going to play against a Razor, because the burn damage cannot be removed by static link.
Right.
So that will help. But his physical damage will just be completely removed from the team fight. And it's just going to feed Razor more damage on top of that. So this Ags pickup is going to be huge. It's going to make him more tanky. On top of that, with Visage, he's actually not close to an Ag. So that's very good news for CDEC growth. I think they would have been lost flat out if he was close to that Ags.
There's that book pickup on the Invoker.
Okay, so that is good. So I feel like CDEC has a window now where they need to be pushing.
Gonna find out. Like you said, the book comes out on the Invoker at the same time the Radiance is complete on the Lone Druid, but the Scepter on the Razor, kind of a big deal. And DT seems like they're the ones who want to push, and they're the ones who want to fight. I really like the way they're using this lineup, because I think this is the right way to do it. Like, you can sit back and run a 4 Protect 1 on the Morphling, but really, what's the point? Like, if you have the ability to take the fight to the enemy team, so long as you're smart in your decision-making in terms of your movement and what your targeting is going to be,
looks like we're going to
you can do
surround
this.
top lane here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just get XDD involved. Don't make him just a hero who sits on the backside of things and really has nothing to contribute. And so far, yeah, they're honestly unable to do anything to stop that. Arrow's going to be shot, but a bit of a wishful thinking arrow. If nothing else, and yeah, they're going to end up engaging onto the bear. Down goes the Weave. The Bear's still alive for the moment, but he is static link. Now they're going to try to turn this around. There's going to be the rock dropped by the Invoker, and they're going to force them back. So even though no hero dies on either side for the moment, they did get the tower, and they certainly got the Bear, and the Bear's 300 gold, so that in and of itself is worthwhile. 8-5 now. DT manages to bring down a tier 2, and it costs them nothing. There's only one tier 2 still standing on the side of CDEC. And whenever you look at where DT is, at least in terms of map control for the most part, they have all of their tier 2 still up, and the tier 1 in bottom lane is still standing as well. This is honestly just beginning to look like it's going to be DT's mid game to win or to lose.
Yeah, and if we take a look at the gold graph as well, it shows they're ahead on all fronts.
Oh yeah.
Like 6,000 gold lead on top of that, a 4,000 experience lead. So, and they have a lineup as well where it's like, we've been watching a lot of games where like teams had a gold lead. It's like, but it's fine. They still have better late game on the other team. But I still favor DT coming to the late game because Razor is a hero. If he has enough farm, he has to snowball. And it's much like Viper in my opinion.
Exactly.
This year, you have to do so well in the laning phase, and he's accomplished that. And he directly counters one of the heroes as well, which is a plus benefit, which is that Lone Druid as well. No matter how many more items you get on the Lone Druid, he peaks against the Razor when he has that Radiance.
Yep. Totally agree with you. Like, DT just has a lineup that basically CDEC's lineup needs to be hitting its peak right now. And the fact of the matter is, DT is not only dealing with it, they're actually getting more gains.
Oh, they might get
so
this.
far.
Are they going to get? No, they're not going to get him.
They were trying.
But the Bears almost killed that Visage just by falling around with the Radiance, which is annoying to deal with, to say the least. And he picked up a Medallion on top of the Visage as well, which is very important against Lone Druid. You put the Medallion on top of the Bear, and you can bring it down very easily. And it looks like it's going to be CDEC's time to go ahead and try and push now.
CDEC finally looking to get all of these items to kick in at once. The Radiance along with the Necro Book on the Invoker. And yeah, they're actually going to pull back for the moment. The tier 1 bottom would seem to be the most appetizing target, the easiest target if nothing else. But DT, the threat of DT taking Roshan is omnipresent. Like at any point, if you get out of position or you end up losing a hero or two at this stage of the game, you know you're going to be giving up an Aegis.
Do we have a gem on the Radiant side? I just saw 2 D wards whatsoever.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep,
so
it's on the tree.
Alright, tree did pick up a gem. So they do. We'll be able to get some map positioning, which is good, or map control. So and they're going to ball up and go for this with the Forge Spirits, with the Bear, and go ahead and try and take some tier 1s. And they really need to get these towers at this point.
Ooh, good leap.
Yeah, very good.
Mirana making it out. She actually shot an arrow that came close as well, but didn't connect on any target. So now DT has to try to reset. They're just going to go for the deny, and there's going to be a glyph. That tower has 11 HP.
Familiars might be able to get it because they attack so fast, but
nope, Lone Druid
gets it.
Yep, actually manages to get it. They're under Moonlight Shadow, just south of that tier 1. And XDD, in the meantime, he didn't really manage to get a lot of damage done in the top lane with the split push, but he is continuing to farm like hell. His net worth is right on par with the 2 Radiant, or the 2 Midas heroes right now, the Invoker and the Lone Druid. The fact that he is farming at a rate better, even if only slightly, than a Midas Lone Druid and a Midas Invoker, that's kind of impressive, especially when the Lone Druid has a Radiance on top of everything else. They're going to go ahead and try to push their advantage. Moving into the jungle, Stomp is going to miss. Triple H makes it away, but he will be tracked down with the Stampede and just blown to pieces as XDD seals the deal with an adaptive strike to secure the kill, but doesn't look like they're going to get a whole lot else out of that. They may pull back and go for Roshan, though.
Yeah, I feel like if they get a Roshan and get the Aegis on top of the Morphling, I mean, if he gets the last hit on this Rosh as well, he's going to be pretty much at his E-Blade.
Oh, yeah.
And Arrow's going to shoot, he's going to hit air, but can they follow up on this? I doubt it.
Tough to do without a Dazzle.
Yeah,
Let's see how
just gonna
chances
steal the Bear's damage now. This is actually just going to help him, and the Bear might even just die here.
Yep, the Morphling actually picks that up, and yeah, they're giving away a free Bear death. That's 300 gold that just went to the Visage just kind of for the hell of it.
Yeah, and he's up to 1,000 gold. It looks like he doesn't even want to get an Ags this game. He's just going Arcane Boots, Earn, and Medallion.
July eating a lot of damage. He actually got caught. One more
dead.
auto attack. Yes! Mirana able to seal the deal after a well-shot Sunstrike. And DT gives one up for free. So, at the very least, LGD not willing to play passively. They're taking whatever is given to them. In the meantime, though, like you said, the Morphling does complete his E-Blade.
And that's going to be a big problem for him. He can E-Blade Morph is like one of the best things against Dazzle, because for the most part, Dazzle isn't a tanky hero. He's just going to be able to get blown up in one go, and they won't be able to get Grave off.
XDD and Air leading the way. Air managed to suck a little bit of damage off of the
that
bear.
was close.
Oh, they're going to go ahead, and there's a nice grave out of Triple H. Now they're going to turn around and pop XDD's Lincolns. The arrow off the mark as it catches a creep. But CDEC actually managing to make it away without a single casualty. It felt like they overextended a bit there, but they do manage to make it back to safety.
Yeah, not too bad. Mirana almost got blown up. She did have those drums, which saved her life. She's only sitting at 1,000 HP, so if Morph wants to, and he gets one more item on top of this, he can actually just one-shot the Mirana if she doesn't go for the BKB. And it's very rare to see Mirana go BKB at this stage. I feel like, and she is going for that Mjolnir at this point.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, BKB would make 0 sense.
Yeah, but it will save her from getting instantly blown up, so her positioning has to be really good. So right now, we gotta check to see who gets instantly blown up right now.
How about the bear? Spirit Bear being pursued by XDD. And will be recalled just in time, so avoiding a 300 gold feed right there.
Yeah, but right now, I think at this point, the tree actually probably gets blown up in one shot. He's only at 1,000 HP. Dazzle, 100% is gone. Invoker, he's at 1,500. It's going to be a close kill, but they're not going to get him. And Mirana is going to get, once we get one more item up on this Morphling, Mirana is definitely going down as well. And they're going to hit an arrow on top lane, just a little bit of harass. But yeah, this is a really good E-Blade game. That's basically my point. You can just one-shot 4 heroes once he gets one more item on top of them.
I really like the way Air has played this, or DT has played this. They've kept Air very active, but more importantly, they've kept XDD involved. This has not felt like a passive Morphling game, you know what I mean? Like,
no.
He has been coming to fights, he's been coming to pushes, and even though it's been relatively quiet, I mean, we have 15 kills in a 30-minute game, and just over 20 minutes, or 29 minutes. And just over 15 kills. Despite that, it doesn't feel that dead. And there's going to be the Maelstrom pickup that we both expected on the Mirana. Arrow will connect. That'll hit in July, but no real chance to engage through that. At this point, 30 minutes in, who do you give the advantage to in terms of team fight?
Right now, I feel like CDEC is going to really scramble to find their footing there.
Yeah,
because
agreed.
they have like this Aegis up and the E-Blade up, so this Morph can play as cocky as he wants, and there's so many E-Blade targets, he's just going to be fishing for E-Blades, and in the meanwhile, this Bear, he's going to get right-clicked down hard too.
Yep. Bear, speaking of, brought forward XDD, has the Aegis. He's morphing strength for the moment. Let's see if they want to turn it around. Lincoln ends up popped, but Razor stole so much damage from that right there. And now they're going to turn around and go ahead and take the tier 2, and they're going to have a chance to just go ahead and back off. So even though that bear is getting large, make no mistake, the Lone Druid is not hurting in terms of overall net worth. If we can go ahead and take a look at the net worth chart and see where they sit there. That's the goal graph. 7,500 in favor of DT. No surprise there. But just want to see the overall list of net worth in terms of the heroes. There it is. Yeah. The Lone Druid is not hurting in that department, but at the same time, he's not on par with that Morphling. And again, it's worth mentioning, the Invoker and the Lone Druid both have Midases.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, like, Lone Druid is behind. I feel like all the games that I've played in Lone Druid in particular, I really need my Radiance and I need my Assault Chaos around 25 minutes. And it comes later than that, I always feel like it's going to be a rough game. Yep. And he does not have his Assault Chaos up, and we're approaching 31 minutes now, and the BKB is now complete on Razor. He has the mech, BKB, and Agnems. So
how do you deal with him? Like,
they need a really timely route at this point.
So luck is what you're telling me. They need luck.
I mean, they do have the Treant route as well, so they have multiple instances of rooting to deal with him, but they're going to need to get a root off before he can steal too much damage.
Well, that's kind of the issue I'm looking at. Like, whenever I look at the way these two teams stack up, DT has done such a good job of not only getting XDD his farm, but keeping him incorporated. They've taken as many objectives as you can imagine. All of the tier 2s still stand for DT, while CDEC has none. And yeah, he's just going to go ahead and try to engage. Looks like, yeah, he's just going to work on that bear, and that bear's going to end up dropping for 300 gold, going the way of XDD, and now CDEC in trouble, and they're going to be able to blow up that Lone Druid as the Morphling waveforms through. So he's down for 57 seconds. Does he have buyback? Don't know. Garter in the meantime,
he does not.
He's in trouble. He has no buyback. He's down. They're going to lose racks.
Yeah.
That's game, honestly. Like, what do you do? Like, you just lost your Lone Druid for free. He's down for 45 seconds, and now they can rotate to mid. I honestly think that's game.
He just got some rebuy money because the top tower went down from the Invoker. That was a timely tier 3 kill by the Invoker. But will that be enough? I don't know. They're still going to take damage.
It looks like they may be able to back off here. Or they should. Nope, never mind. Mirana just blown to pieces by XDD, and he is just chopping wood at this point. DT cleaning shop, and Air makes it a killing spree, maybe in just as much trouble, cleaned up by Dreamy Next again will be the Lone Druid as
He has
he's
no
telekinesis
bear.
back. Yeah, the bear's down.
90 seconds, no bear. They can't defend
What?
this.
Yeah,
this is going to be game.
Yeah, that's game.
Tower has fallen.
And that's that.
Yeah, GG. All right then. So, DT makes the remaining tiebreakers a moot point as they take the win. And CDEC, as good as their performance happened to be, they come up just a little bit short in this game. And I'm not going to lie, man, like, this was kind of a weird game because I guarantee I watched like 4 different people's cameras at some point. So it's like, it's a little weird, a little odd to not have the continuity. And we actually didn't have any sound either. Like,
No.
by the way, so if I screwed up casting, I'm sorry. But casting without sound is hard, and we had no sound back here at the booth, so that's difficult in and of itself. But I think at the end, the draft was good. We saw a little bit of, it seemed wonky at times, but for the most part, DT just finally performed up to the standard we all expected from them.
Yeah, and we have to question a little bit that Lone Druid pick into the Razor.
Why? Why?
That made no sense to me at all.
Yeah, you pick a Razor, like, Razor is a direct counter pick to a certain number of heroes.
Yes.
Very small number, and guess
Yes.
what? Lone Druid's one of them.
He's definitely on the list, and they weren't able to get much out of that Lone Druid. He did get the Radiances a little slow because they were to gank him a couple times, but once he did get his Radiance, the Razor was already so farmed, he just stole all his damage, and it ended up helping them more than anything.
Yep. Guys, this has been the North American Hub coverage of the Chinese qualifiers. I just want to confirm, what are the final standings? Yep. So, the final standings are LGD, CIS, Tongfu, and DT. DT squeaks by, and it looks like, I just want to make sure I'm not like speaking out of turn. That means the rest of the tiebreakers are kind of null, right? We don't need any more.
Yeah, that is her final 4.
Awesome! Just want to confirm. It's been a long qualifier and a long day, but it's been a hell of a day of Dota.
It has
And DT, who would have thought they would have been squeaking by like this?
They had a lot of rough games. They were
They
looking
did.
shaky.
And
Everyone
who
thought
would
they
have
were going to do
thought CIS is going to come through and just be like, yeah, it's fine. we're just going to the playoffs. Don't worry about it. Like,
Yeah, their day one wasn't the greatest, to be honest.
to me, CIS was a team that, just being totally honest, I think a lot of people had a curiosity in them because of Black.
Yeah.
Like that was it. I don't think anyone was ever like high on CIS. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
but yeah, tiebreakers are done, and our coverage is done here on the North American Hub, presented by Monster Energy. I'm AC. You can find me on Twitter at AC at AYESEE. He's at
Fear Dota.
There you go. Make sure you look the man up. He was in a movie not long ago. What was that called?
Free to play.
There you go. Make sure you check that out too if you haven't had a chance. Again, thanks so much for tuning in for the China qualifier coverage here at the North American Hub. We'll be back tomorrow as now our field is finally set. We'll be moving on into the postseason, into the playoffs, and can't wait to see what teams emerge. What 2 teams are your favorites going in?
My 2 favorites, LGD is my number 1. They're looking pretty good. When they're on their game, they look really good. And they also won games where they're looking bad, but they still managed to bring it together and look really good. And for my second team, that's a hard one, honestly.
It is. It really is.
It's a really
like,
hard one.
Like coming into it, you could have picked 1 or 2.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they obviously look better. Who the hell knows anymore?
I can tell you I want CS to be my second.
CIS, you really
CS,
do?
I want them to be my second. I want to see Black, like,
Oh,
kind of
dude.
like a Cinderella story here.
I'm not gonna lie, Black. I feel bad telling this on stream, but I'm going to. There was a point where Black thought he was done in Chinese Dota. Like, he was told by a very, very famous Chinese player. I won't use his name because, I'll try to respect that. Yeah. But he was told that he was good, but he was not good enough to make a Chinese team being an English-speaking player,
Yeah,
being a Western
and it's very
player.
hard.
And Black literally reached out to me online and said, dude, I don't know that I'm going to make it here. Could you tell me who needs a carry? Like, he was looking for connections in the West because he'd been gone so long. And now look where he is. He's right on the cusp of TI. So I'm going to go with you, dude. Like, LGD, obviously the favorite, but Black Dota all the way. Make sure you follow him on Twitter. Twitter, too. I'm pretty sure it's just Black Dota.
Yeah,
right?
Black Dota.
All right,
Black
guys.
Dota 2,
We're
not
going to
sure
shut
which.
down the broadcast for now. Hashtag thanks Conrad. Conrad was our observer for that game. And amazing. Even though I had to ask for stuff.
Even though I had to do camera for half the game, amazing.
I know. I didn't say a graph. I said I want to see the probably. Fair enough. All right, guys. Obviously, it's been a long day for us. It's been a long day for you, but it's been a hell of a day of Dota. Again, AC and Fear signing off for the North American Hub coverage of the TI4 Qualifiers China, brought to you and presented by Monster Energy. We'll see you tomorrow to kick off the playoffs. Take care.